Good morning, friends. This is Jackie Eicher, and this is Sunday School through First Congregational United Church of Christ in Corvallis, Oregon. And thank you for being here with me. I have a candle in a special candle holder that my mom made, and I will light it to begin. This always reminds me that God is with me. I'm not alone. And another reminder of that is when we can start with a breath. And this is actually what our message is about today that we'll talk about. There's a story, and for now, let's just practice taking a deep breath. And then letting it out. And as we always do, we can imagine that we are breathing in God's love. And when we breathe out, we share that love with the world around us. So let's practice that again. A deep breath. One more time. I am breathing in God's love, and I can share that love with the world. Thank you, friends, for being with me here. We have been starting with gratitude. Find something that you are really glad you get to live around or live with a person. And there's a painting right here of my dog Pearl, who is down here at my feet. And I'm really grateful for Pearl's companionship. She has really brought a lot of joy to my life. How about you? What are you really glad about today? Today, I can tell you also something that was challenging from my week, and you may find something too that was challenging in your week, and just acknowledge that it happened. My dad was in the hospital and he came home, and that is a wonderful thing and a challenge because he needs to breathe with some oxygen because he doesn't get enough breathing oxygen by himself. So he wears a little nose plug with a tube around that goes down to the oxygen tank. And that's hard because I imagine it's hard, it's uncomfortable, but I am glad he can breathe. How about you? What was challenging about your week? Summer's here. The story I'd like to read to you is actually so interesting for me today in the world that we live in. This one is about Mary and Martha. And I'll just tell you, before I read the story, that I have been called Martha before. And Martha was also my grandmother's name. But the reason I was called Martha was because I was focused on doing work. And you'll see what that means when I read the story. Mary and Martha. This is on page 366. If you're James and Kate or Isabel and you want to read along, or Elvisa. Jesus and his disciples were traveling. Along the way, Jesus decided they would visit with their friends Mary and Martha. Mary and Martha were sisters. They lived in a house together. They got along very well most of the time. While Jesus visited with them, Mary sat on the floor and listened to Jesus teach. Martha, on the other hand, was very busy. She didn't have time to sit down. She cooked olives, fish, and bread. She cleaned, sweeping the dirt floor and shaking out mats. Martha worked hard to make Jesus' visit very special. And I like the pictures in this story quite a bit. As she hurried around, she saw Mary sitting down with Jesus. She thought, why doesn't she help me with the cleaning? A few minutes later, Mary was still sitting as Martha worked. Here's a picture of Martha. Look at that. That's my favorite picture. She's doing so many things and also feeling angry about it. A few minutes later, Mary was still sitting as Martha worked. Martha got a little bit angry. Ahem. She cleared her throat, thinking, Mary could at least help me get this meal ready, all of those people to feed, and she isn't helping one little bit. Martha continued hurrying around, getting angrier by the minute. As she swept, she thought, Mary knows how to use a broom. As she cooked, she said to herself, Harumph! I think my sister could at least stir this pot. As she got water and towels ready for cleaning Jesus' hands, she grumbled to herself, Grr! All this company, and I am doing all of the work. Finally, when she was still working and Mary was still sitting, Martha couldn't take it anymore. She burst into the room, interrupted what Jesus was saying, put her hands on her hips, and said angrily, Mary, please help me. Get up. She looked at Jesus. Jesus, tell Mary to get up and do something. Jesus stopped what he was doing. Everything was quiet for a minute. Finally, Jesus looked at Martha. With love, he said, Martha, you are worried about every little thing. Thank you for your work to make my visit comfortable, but you do not need to worry about all of these things. Mary has decided to sit and listen to me, and that is a good decision. Martha thought to herself, maybe I should just sit down and listen to what Jesus has to say, at least for a minute. Maybe Mary has a good idea. So she sat and listened, and that was a good decision. I like this story better today than I have liked it in the past. I wonder what you have to say about this story. Maybe you have brothers and sisters and you feel like sometimes you do more work than your brother or your sister. And I wonder if you've ever felt like you were the one doing all the work. I have, and that's when I was called Martha. And I still really feel closer to the Martha in this story than Mary because I don't often sit still. I'm kind of like a beaver in many ways. Beavers do lots of work. They're always busy building things for people in their family. I would like to be more like a sloth. So our activity today is to talk about sloths a little bit. And I wonder if any of you have ever seen a sloth. I'm sure maybe in a video, that's where I've seen a sloth. I've never seen a sloth at a zoo or anything like that. Maybe you have. I really love sloths, and I know that Moses can do a really good sloth impression. I saw him do it once. But I thought I'd read up a little bit about sloths and a little bit about them. They are really cute animals, in my opinion. They move really slow. In fact, they sleep 15 to 20 hours a day. And they live up in the treetops of the tropical rainforest in Central and South America. And they spend all day moving very slowly through the tops of the trees, and they only go about 40 yards per day, which is not very far at all. A yard is 3 feet. So that's about 60 feet. No, excuse me, 160 feet per day. And they munch on leaves, twigs, and flower buds. So they're herbivores. They They really move slow. So we're going to practice being like sloths. I'm already starting. Can you tell? That's my sloth impression. And that, if I remember to take deep breaths while I'm doing that, it's actually really helpful for me. Sloths are also excellent swimmers, and I didn't know that. Sometimes they drop down out of the treetops for a big paddle around, and then they go back up. And they always, to me, they always look like they're smiling. So I could even add that to my breathing and sloth mindfulness activity here that you could practice with me. You know, I have never acted out like I was a sloth before, and I will say it's one of my favorite animals to act out. I liked that a lot. I hope you had some fun too. I got some deep breaths, and I hope you did too, because our bodies need oxygen in order to calm the body down. And at night, I've lately been taking some deep breaths, and it has helped me go to sleep a little more easily. But it takes work for me to do that. And I don't know if you're the same way, but maybe practice this with me this week. And that's what I hope to carry with me from the Mary and Martha story this week. That and the sloth. And if you're going to be in person church tomorrow, we'll go to the Sunday school area in the meeting hall, and we are going to be acting out some animal charades. And I hope that we could draw some sloths. All right, my friends. My prayer for you is that you can feel the love of God as you breathe this week, and that you feel God's love every time you take a deep breath. When we feel anxious or overwhelmed, God, help us remember that we can breathe in your love and breathe out your peace. Amen. Friends, you can help me blow this candle out now. 1, 2, 3. All right, until next time or until Sunday morning.